Hello and welcome. Welcome to each and every one of you. I'm grateful for the time you're dedicating to listen to Dhamma, and I'm confident you will have a blessing that you may also want to share with others. Today we're on page 47. The last few pages we've been talking about the nature of the mind, nama and rupa. Rupa's the body. So we've concluded about talking about the mind and the 5 steps this mind makes that result in what we call consciousness, vijnana. So on this page, we're going to talk about the nature of the body, rupa. 4F, rupa. 4 elements: earth, air, water, fire. The body and all material things. So the broader definition is if it exists starting with atoms up to the universe, we can call that a body. In fact, we often do. We say a body of water, etc. So in a strictest sense, it's 4 elements, and no scientists have named many more than 4. I never remember accurately, but 180 something. So they've described differences between one element and another element. These elements in the Buddhist tradition have been simplified to earth, air, water, fire. And they have some characteristics, and we're going to learn about those. So rupa, material form, the body, and all physical behavior, matter, and physical energy. So that is very inclusive. If it has a form, then we could refer to it as rupa. So it's not limited to just talking about the body, the human body. Rupa. Rupa is not really the physical body world, it is contact with it. Now, just in the last page, we talked about the 6 sense doors making contact with a sense object. And in that moment, consciousness arises. And prior to contact, that consciousness, one of those or all of those 6 sense doors are not awake. There is no consciousness. We can be seeing something without tasting something. We could be listening to something without smelling something. So contact is when we are born. We're born the moment the 6 sense doors make contact with sense objects. So this sentence, rupa is not really the physical body or what we call the world, it's contact with it. And this contact, as I've just said, is the invention, the creation of consciousness. No contact, no consciousness, the world does not exist for us or for us. So we're not really interested in the physical phenomena of what we call the body or the contact it makes with objects in the world. The chitta is the real thing. The body's just a phenomenon. So if we're going to learn about the truth of who we are, or what is the truth about the life, we're going to have to not think of it in physical terms, but we're going to use the mind to examine itself. Now, most of the sciences in the world most activities in the world, manufacturing and all the things that have been created for us to buy and places for us to go on vacation, hobbies for us to engage in, are physical. It's impossible for science to investigate something that's invisible. So the solar system and the galaxies, etc., are visible, and so science becomes interested in them, builds these fantastic telescopes, etc., and tries to discover as much as they can about the physical world. Medicine tries to discover as much as it can about the body. And archaeology and anthropology and all these different ologies are engaged in the study of something that is physical. It's their only choice. But we have a choice to use the mind to investigate itself. And that's only possible with sati, sharpened by the practice of vipassana. The next sentence is quite harsh. The body is a living cemetery. I love it. The same teacher said most humans are the living dead, which in English is sometimes referred to as a zombie. So it's harsh, but it doesn't mean it's not true. What they're getting at when they say something like that is that if we're not awake to an alternative understanding of life, then we're bound to be limited to the wisdom that we can experience directly. And obviously, the body is going to end up in a cemetery or in being cremated. It's inevitable. It's, as they say, impossible to escape. Sometimes that body is only a few minutes or a few hours old. Sometimes it's, in the case of my own mother, 105 years old. But in any case, it ends up being cremated or buried. So we are the walking dead. We just haven't reached the final goal, which is the cemetery. It's also a way of reminding us that our attachment to it is bound to fail, bound to fail. So no matter how much cosmetic surgery we have or health regimens we undertake, we're bound to fail. That is, the body is going to fail because it's a law of nature. And there are science fiction movies and even currently people studying how to keep the body from failing, how to keep aging from occurring. Time will tell how successful they are. I remember a man who was very famous for a health diet that he recommended, a very healthy guy and had millions of followers. And he was jogging one day and fell over dead of a heart attack. So pretty sure that anything that arises to the level of being a material object, and starting with an atom, will eventually pass away. The body is not the source of suffering. Wow. All this sickness and discomfort. I'm in Asia right now, and the mosquitoes are troubling. The humidity was 104 the other day, and the body seems to be the source of suffering if we don't examine it a little more carefully. Suffering is there because of wrong view. So the Eightfold Noble Path, this is coming up again and again. If we don't start out with the right view, we're bound to end up with an invalid, an unhelpful, maybe a troublesome, even unwholesome conclusion. Suffering is there because of wrong view. Appearance blocks transcendence. So when we look at something vast like the universe or an ocean or huge mountain ranges, even the Rocky Mountains or the Himalaya Mountains and mountain peaks at 25 or 6,000 feet, etc., we have a sense that they will last forever. We've been told that by science that there have already been 5 mass extinctions just in the lifetime of this planet. There's no way for science to investigate whether there's been a universe previously to this universe, but Lord Buddha says there were, not just one before this one, but he couldn't get back to the first time there was a universe. However many hundreds or millions or trillions of universes he went back in time, so to speak, he found they were more or less eternal. So this concept that appearances block transcendence means whatever we're coming up with through the 6 sense doors is going to obstruct, it's going to put out of focus the truth, which is transcendence and which is invisible. And it's addictive, and we have all become addicts to the sensations that arise on the body and we claim as belonging to us. Now we'll talk a little bit more about the 4 elements. Elements: earth, solidity, hard, soft, heavy, light, and expansion. We can use that definition for anything that's a solid, a coffee table, a chair, an automobile, a kitchen fork or knife or food. Anything that's solid has some of these characteristics. They are solid, they're hard or soft. It doesn't have to be a rock to be solid. A piece of meat is mostly solid. Heavy or light, again, it doesn't have to be something huge or heavy. It doesn't have to be, again, a rock or a stone or a pebble. And it has this characteristic of expansion. Air element is symbolic. These are symbolic qualities of the 4 elements. Motion, the wind blowing, but any motion, frankly. Mobility, things moving, in the most extreme case, hurricanes and tornadoes. Vibrations. So even the Vedana, the sensations that we experience arising on the body, is an expression of the air element. Water is fluidity and cohesion. I think of how many different things we add water to that allows those various substances that we're adding water to coalesce, whether it's a bucket of paint, food, cooking chocolate chip cookies, etc. When we add water, it helps something to coalesce, but it's also obviously a symbol of fluidity. The most obvious symbol is our bloodstream or a river. Fire is heat or temperature, which is energy. We know heat is energy. The vitality of all beings and plants is preserved by temperature. So even though they have determined that there are sub-zero temperatures, there are things that can live in extremely cold conditions and things that can live in quite hot conditions, not as extreme as cold conditions, but all living things have a tolerance, some tolerance for temperature. When things get too cold for a given thing, plant or animal, it freezes to death, just as we do. The range of temperature for human life is very limited. I think it's less than 10 degrees. So if 98.6 is normal, if you're 5 or 6 degrees above that, you're in critical condition, or 5 or 6 degrees below that. Other animals can be completely frozen and thaw out and return to a living organism. So these 4 elements constitute everything that exists. So even in blood, there's temperature, obviously. If we're warm-blooded, even if we're cold-blooded, it's still a temperature. There's fluidity, there's motion, and there's solidity. There are various cell-level things, white blood cells and red blood cells and whatever else constitutes blood. So even in something that's mostly liquid, we're going to find some percentage of the other 3 elements. In earth, like a rock, obviously motion is really limited, but a rock expands and contracts with temperature. If ice forms in the cracks of the rock, that's how the rock gets broken into pieces, etc. So this is just an organic phenomena that the Buddha has defined as being broken down into 4 elements. Now we're on number 5, ayatana, a 6-sense base. So we've been talking about the 6 sense doors. Let's see if this has something to do with that. The inner sense media are the sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The outer sense media are their respective objects: form and color, sound, aroma, flavor, and body sensations, and mind objects. Phassa, contact. Contact made through the 6 sense doors with their respective objects. So all that's happening here is we're giving a Pali word vocabulary to this phenomena of the 6 sense doors making contact with objects that are composed of earth, air, water, fire in the world, or mind objects, which is any thought, emotion that arises to the level of consciousness. And if there's contact, What comes next? Do you remember? Vedana, feelings, sensations. That was just back on page 45. We'll make this one of the shorter discourses so I can more or less keep each discourse on approximately one page. So we have reached the bottom of page, whatever it is, page 47, and we're going to conclude this Dhamma talk. And I hope you'll consider listening to future Dhamma talks. I hope you'll consider investigating the truth from these Dhamma talks as they express themselves in what is your mind, your body mind, and discover the truth or not of the Buddha's teachings. Only by self-discovery can we become liberated. Without self-discovery, all these teachings remain intellectual. They remain a kind of faith-based philosophy that we imagine we have understood, but in fact, we probably have just memorized. Thank you very much for listening. I greatly appreciate it, and I trust you will be successful in your practice. Thank you. I've been forgetting to mention after the end of these discourses or before they start, you're always welcome to contact me directly if you have questions, if you have you would like clarification, if I could be of any help to you. We can talk directly by these various free apps, and you could leave comments, which I will be faithful in responding to. Rather than remain confused, I want you to feel very comfortable to contact me if you feel it will be helpful. Thank you.